Hi everyone, my name is Jessica and welcome to ASMR Diary. Why is my light doing that? Focus on me. Focus on me. My light goes in and out sometimes, but I don't think it matters because I do believe my target audience is watching this at nighttime, and we're all listening to this for the audio, not the visuals. So, yeah. Anyways, welcome to the series where I'll be reading a book to you guys, and the book that we're reading right now, or the chapters that I'm continuing, are for the book Moby Dick. I will say this book has been quite interesting, and I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't what we covered in the last two chapters at all. I will say it hasn't even gotten crazy yet. I don't know. I don't know what I thought it would be, but I definitely didn't think it would be like about Indians and Africans and weird sailors from all across the world and weird tattooed men and stuff like that. But nonetheless, I'm very intrigued. So yeah, let's get right into it, cause yeah, I really want to see where this goes. So yeah, let's just get right into the next chapter. Chapter 6. There she blows. Over the next few days, I learned more about Moby Dick from other members of the crew. Superstition surrounding the whale was rife. It was said that many sea captains had seen him and many legends had grown up around the beast. There had been sightings in all the southern seas. One of the whale's most frightening abilities, they said, was his cleverness as an actor. One moment he would be pretending to flee, and the next turning on his pursuers. He would then chase the hunters all the way back to the mothership and give the ship a great wallop in the process. Of late, there had been tales of the great beast attacking more ships. He had already taken several lives. Those who had seen Moby Dick close up and survived could only meekly utter the terror at the sight of the ocean giant. There were several documented stories of such attacks that had appeared in the newspapers at the time. One whaling captain had been cruising in the Pacific Ocean when he spotted a shoal, or pod, of sperm whales. He launched his whaleboats, taking command of one himself, and gave chase. Suddenly, from the middle of the shoal, came a huge whale, with many a white shade and mark upon him. He bore down directly on the mothership and used his forehead as a battering ram. Moby Dick, for it surely was he, created a huge hole in the ship's hull. The ship sank within 10 minutes, with the loss of everyone aboard except the hunters in its whaleboats. The same captain was attacked again the following year in a new boat. Once more, it was the great white whale that breached the ship's side. An American warship also came to grief thanks to Moby Dick. The captain swore blind that a whale, even of Moby Dick's size, could do a warship no damage. The next day, however, the great white whale struck again, creating a huge gash in the ship's side. The captain only just managed to reach the shore in time before his ship sank. The creature's strength seemed to be matched only by its malice toward human hunters. So the challenge was set. The men of the Pequod seemed as bold a group of men as ever sailed the oceans. Or was it that they were terrified of what Captain Ahab might do to them if they didn't join his hunt? Every minute of the day he would call up to the lookouts on the mastheads, "Keep your eyes open! He's out there somewhere." Some said that Ahab was setting out on a hopeless task to find a single whale among the world's vast oceans. But that wasn't the way Ahab saw it. He had sailed the oceans for so many years that he knew all the tides and currents of each one. He could calculate where the white whale and his brothers and sisters would find their food at any particular time of the year. He knew where and when the giant beasts would find their tastiest delicacies. In other words, Captain Ahab understood whales more than most members of his own race. One warm afternoon, Tashtigo and Dagu were at the mastheads, holding on tightly as the ship swayed from side to side in the gentle swell, a movement greatly exaggerated at the very top of the masts. Suddenly, I saw Tashtigo's right arm shoot forward, pointing. It seemed ages before his words reached all the way down to the deck. "There she blows! There she blows!" Next, I heard Ahab's voice. It sounded like a desperate scream. "Where? Where does she blow?" "2 miles off the starboard bow," cried Tashtigo, still pointing. "A shoal of whales." "Prepare the boats," shouted Ahab. A team of seamen rushed to the side of the ship and unhooked the chains holding 3 boats and 3 cranes. The hunting crews of the Pequod were an unusual mix. Mr. Starbuck was in charge of boat number 1. Just 30 years old, he had faced 1,000 perils on the world's oceans already. A Nantucket man, his hard-baked skin gave evidence of many years at sea. Starbuck was a man of action, loyal to his skipper and brave in the face of danger. "I'll have no man aboard who is not afraid of a whale," he used to say. "A fearless man is more dangerous than a coward." Each boat carried its own harpooner. Starbuck's man was the experienced harpooner Queequeg. Boat number 2 was led by the second officer, Mr. Stubb. A native of Cape Cod, he was a happy-go-lucky soul, neither excessively brave nor coward. He was prepared for any perils that might come. Some said Stubb ran his boat as if he had asked his harpooner and oarsmen to come to a pleasant dinner rather than a deadly encounter. To him, the jaws of death had become a very comfortable chair. Stubb's harpooner was the brave Tashtigo from Martha's Vineyard. Boat number 3 was under the captaincy of the third officer, Mr. Flask. He was another native of Martha's Vineyard. A short, stocky man, it was said that he saw the whale hunt as a very personal battle. There wasn't room on the ocean for both Flask and the whale. Flask's harpooner was the skillful Dagu. I saw Tashtigo and Dagu leave the masthead and clamber down to the deck. Grabbing their harpoons, they leapt into the whale boats. I took my place with Queequeg in Starbuck's boat. "Lower away," ordered Ahab. The 3 boats dropped away into the sea below. The oars splashed. The boats were now in pursuit. Suddenly, I saw a 4th boat drop from a crane near the front of the ship. It was Ahab. He was standing at the back of his boat. His crew was made up of a powerful squad of rowers and a mysterious man who I later found out was Fendallah, an Indian mystic who advised Ahab on the day-to-day omens of the voyage. Fendallah was the mystic that Queequeg and I had been warned about, the night we set sail. Chapter 7. A Stormy Hunt. "Spread yourselves out," roared Ahab. "Starbuck, Stay in the center. Stub, move out right. Flask, to the left. Ahab was issuing orders as one of the whales blew again from its blowhold, sending a jet of water and steam into the air. "There she blows," bellowed Ahab into the wind. "Pull away, lads," cried Starbuck. "Heave ho, my boys," shouted Stub. "Whales ahead, my lucky chums," said Flask. "Remember, the bag of gold for the white whale, if he's among them." But a few moments later, the whales disappeared beneath the waves. Ahab raised his arm. It was the signal to stop. All 4 boats came to a halt. There was a complete silence as each man looked down into the water beneath them. Most instinctively knew that the whales were now directly below them. Breathless and still, Ahab and his men waited. Starbuck, Stub, and Flask were standing at the back of their boats, balancing themselves as each ocean swell came silently through. Waiting, waiting, waiting. The tension was unbearable. To a landlubber, there would have been no clue to the whereabouts of any whale. But each man afloat that day knew the whales were close, so very close. Suddenly, Flask shouted, "Here they come, boys!" The first whale broke the surface, its swishing tail narrowly missing Stub's boat. One by one, the others followed. No boats were hit, but the water was turned into a white maelstrom of froth and foam. "After them!" roared Ahab. Just then, the weather began to change and a squall blew in. The wind was getting up and the boats were swaying this way and that. "Stand up, Mr. Queequeg," ordered Starbuck. "Prepare your harpoon." Queequeg, harpoon in hand, sprang to his feet. "There!" yelled Starbuck, pointing to an area of boiling white water. "Let him have it." Queequeg's right arm drew back as far as it would go and then shot forward with a long follow-through. The harpoon flew like lightning. Behind it flashed the rope line that attached it to the boat. The whale instinctively flipped its tail and turned. The harpoon bounced off the creature's back. Queequeg cursed. At that moment, the boat hit an incoming wave. Queequeg was thrown back into his seat. The boat rocked in the air and crashed to the surface with the sound of thunder. The little vessel was swamped. The squall had turned into a storm. The wind had turned from a breeze to a howl. We called out to the other boats, but they were now hidden by the ever-rising waves. Still we rowed in the direction in which the whale had vanished, as Queequeg hauled his harpoon in. The harpoon rope was neatly coiled again, and all eyes peered through the storm, looking for any sight of the whales returning. After a while, we realized it was hopeless. Soaking wet and shivering with cold, we just waited for the storm to calm. The whales were now long gone. Night fell. We called out again and again, but got no answer from any of the other crews. We were alone in the storm. It was the longest night of my life. As dawn finally arrived and the waves began to lessen, we looked around us. The ocean seemed completely empty. Then suddenly we saw a moving speck. In the distance was the Pequod. She had found us and we were safe. Queequeg and I were the last to be hauled aboard our mothership. "Queequeg," I said, "is life as a whaler always this dangerous?" "All the time, Mr. Ishmael," he replied. "The best whalers will always lower their boats in a gale if there's a whale to be caught." Later that morning, I heard Ahab muttering to himself, "No sign of Moby Dick today, but I shall have him." I'm going to stop there for tonight. Thank you guys for listening, and I will see you guys in the next video, starting with Chapter 8. Bye.